So then, Michael, how does that affect child support? I mean, that's kind of the logical conclusion. That's why people would be wanting to conform, right? The schedule, they're not wanting to change the schedule. It's a monetary issue, right?
I was going to bring this up, but I thought this would be too far astray. So it's interesting you did. This all is about child support. And I think one of the biggest flaws that in the family law community that we didn't get done was when we changed the child support laws, that they weren't able to incorporate in some sliding scale type things. And I know there's a number of reasons they weren't able to do that, from systems issues with the district attorney's office to other reasons. But these distinctions really come down to child support, and we have very draconian results between these titles and what can happen as far as the results of a child support calculation. So we have senseless fighting over what can amount to very small amounts of time with the child for a week that could be eliminated and ease the burden on the judicial system to actually hear genuine parental disputes if we could just come up with and implement a child support system that gave some sort of credit along a sliding scale, so that it's not such a punitive thing if somebody says, hey, look, I think it is in the best interest for a child to be like in a 2-5 situation here, but I don't want to do that because it's going to be, I mean, sometimes these swings are drastic one way from another, to not paying to paying a ton. And then we have you pay kind of the same amount if you're on this threshold as whether you have really no custodial time at all. And we have these statutory adjustments, but that doesn't really cut it because they're inconsistent and you can't rely on them, and they don't account for every situation. Really, they don't barely account for the situation I'm talking about right now. So I think that was a big mistake to not, no matter what the consequence, to say we couldn't afford to do it at the time or to redo these systems. We're just shifting the cost burden to the family court system, having to create new departments to handle all these disputes. It seems like it would have been something we should have figured out a couple of years ago.
Well, if I can just jump in on that, that's one of these, there is no perfect answer. There's an article on our child support page about the relevance of time schedules to child support obligations. And we talk about cliff effects. And that's basically where Michael's talking about there, where if you step over this one little change, there's a massive change in child support. But there's no free lunch.
Marshall, I just want to point out one thing, and also that can be subjective from an interpretation of how you count time, where we talked about earlier, from judge to judge. So the same custodial agreement can be called two different things in two different departments and have drastically different financial consequences.
And that's in that article as well. It's opportunities for some skullduggery. I will say that we have a child support commission, and it currently is meeting, and they're talking about refining our regulations. I was sent in as the Academy, the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers observer and representative. And we are probably going to be seeing some changes to Nevada's child support regulations coming out in about, probably, it's always difficult to predict bodies, but 3 months to a year. And hopefully some of the stuff we're talking about today will get, refined, defined, improved.
Well, I think it's what we learned from Romano and all of these issues is, be careful what you agree to. You're going to be held to it, and you're not going to be changing custody or child support unless you can meet the legal standard to do so. And so we're here today to help and educate everyone on what those are and what that means. So I just want to say thank you, everyone. I want to give everyone one last opportunity in our last couple of minutes for any kind of final thoughts. Go ahead, Marshall.